Alrighty, YouTube Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So, more coming out about this Chase Young situation, getting traded to San Francisco, of course, yesterday for a compensatory third-round pick. So, it's being reported, and I seen this yesterday, but I didn't really think too much of it, but I've been seeing more of it, so I figured I would make a video about it and give my thoughts on the situation. But it's being reported that the Commanders viewed Chase Young as a undisciplined player over the course of this season and for last season as well. And that, I guess, that was one of the main factors that kind of went into the Washington Commanders trading Chase Young to the 49ers. Now, I've seen some Commanders fans talking about this Chase Young situation and how they felt as if they could have probably gotten a little bit more out of Chase Young. But look, I mean, I think when you look at Chase Young, he's had 15 total tackles this season and 5 total sacks. And like I said, I mean, the 49ers, it was being reported that the Washington Commanders viewed Chase Young as an undisciplined player and that he kind of just wants to make splash plays and things of that nature. Obviously, if anybody knows Chase Young more as a player, it's the Washington Commanders. I mean, they've had him, for the last 3 to 4 seasons. I believe he was going into his 4th season with the Commanders. So technically, he's only been with the he was only with the Commanders for 3 full seasons. I don't necessarily know. I mean, I would have to, if there's any Commanders fans watching this video, drop a comment down below and let me know if you guys believe that Chase Young was just an undisciplined player for you guys and that he just tried to make the splash plays. Because to me personally, I mean, I felt as if Chase Young was having a very, very good season this year, up until obviously yesterday when he got traded. And I think, with the Washington Commanders, obviously, their owner, I believe it's Joe Harris or Josh Harris, one of the two, but, they clearly are in a rebuilding state of their franchise. With the Washington Commanders, I think going into this season, you had low expectations. I mean, you're starting a second-year quarterback in Sam Howell. I believe Sam Howell is a second-year quarterback. But, you're starting a second-year quarterback in Sam Howell. He did get some playing time last year, I believe, but it wasn't enough to, get him fully ready for the season. I'm almost positive. I keep thinking for some reason Sam Howell's a rookie, but I'm pretty positive he's a second-year quarterback. But yeah, so I mean, you're getting with Sam Howell. You got a guy that, I believe he came from North Carolina, I believe. But either way, the point I'm trying to make here is you knew you weren't going to be doing much anyway this year, so for the Commanders to immediately start fire selling everybody, I feel like you have to do that, for everybody. At this point, if you gave up Montez Sweat and Chase Young, giving up Chase Young for basically a bag of Lay's to the 49ers, and then obviously, the 49ers are in a situation where, if they don't keep Chase Young long-term and they decide to, let him walk after this year, the 49ers are getting back a compensatory third-round pick for Chase Young, obviously, if he walks. So it's just one of them situations where, the Niners are getting Chase Young for a free rental, basically. I don't know if the 49ers feel as if they're going to be keeping Chase Young around for the long term. I would imagine the 49ers are probably open to that, but I think depending on how Chase Young, how much of a difference he makes on this defensive line and whatnot will go into, the 49ers wanting to pay him or not. But really, in all reality, I think that when it comes to the 49ers, you know, you went out and got Chase Young because you need somebody dominant on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. The 49ers have had troubles, and I said this last night in the video where I basically broke down the trade, but the 49ers have had a lot of troubles this year setting the edge and being able to stop the outside run. And I think when you get a guy, and Nick Bosa struggled at setting the edge in particular, but at the same time, that's not going to continue for Nick Bosa, I don't think. Nick Bosa is going to turn things around. I'm not really worried about him. But it's good to have somebody that you know is able to set the edge and play at a high level, you know, opposite side from Nick Bosa. And Drake Jackson, and I said this last night, but I think Drake Jackson has been a player that has been productive for the 49ers this year. Obviously, you know, with Javon Hargrave, he kind of hasn't really lived up to his full potential yet for the 49ers. That's another player that I think will eventually start to get going, you know, once this 49ers defensive line and as a whole starts to get going. But, yeah, I mean, as far as Chase Young, though, being a undisciplined player, I can see why the Commanders are probably thinking that. But, you know, I guess I read about him, and I didn't really watch the Commanders and Eagles game, but I read that he was pretty much a non-factor in that game, and that he just looked sluggish in that game, and this and that. And here's another thing too. I think Chase Young was probably due for a change of scenery. This is kind of a situation that's like a win for Chase Young more than it is for the Commanders, because I think Chase Young's, you know, motivation probably can come from winning. And obviously, you know, with the Washington Commanders, they've been kind of in the rut for the past couple seasons. And I think with Chase Young going to a potential Super Bowl contender, they don't look like it right now, but I think with him going to a potential Super Bowl contender with San Francisco, I think, you know, he's going to probably be a little more motivated, and he's probably going to be, you know, wanting to play his best football he ever has played. So I think him getting traded to San Francisco is probably going to be a motivational type of thing for Chase Young. He's getting to play with his college teammate Nick Bosa, in which they wreaked havoc during their one season together at Ohio State. So I definitely think for Chase Young, if there's anybody, again, in the NFL, I think that can turn Chase Young around and make him a disciplined football player for this Niners defense, I think that guy is Chris Kosirak, who is the 49ers defensive line coach. He's been the Niners defensive line coach for some time now. He is widely regarded as the best defensive line. I think I said offensive line, but he's widely regarded as the best defensive line coach in football. He had a pretty big hand in the development of Ndamukong Suh. So I mean, look, I think, you know, there's a lot of players like Nick Bosa right now looks undisciplined. I mean, he looks like he's one of the more struggling superstar players on this 49ers team that needs to wake up. But again, I think, you know, Chase Young being undisciplined comes with, you know, a territory. I don't think necessarily you can sit there and say that he just focuses on making splash plays. Obviously, Chase Young not living up to expectation probably had a big hand in the Commanders just shipping him off for a third-round pick, or a compensatory third-round pick. So, I mean, again, I think when he comes to San Francisco, it's going to be a change of scenery. It's going to be something new for Chase Young, and I think that'll help him out for the remainder of the season. Obviously, him playing with, you know, Nick Bosa is going to help. I expect Chase Young to flourish in this defense. I expect him to be a player that comes in and make an immediate impact, kind of like how Emmanuel Sanders did, like how Christian McCaffrey has done, you know, over the course of his Niners career so far. So yeah, I mean, am I worried about Chase Young being undisciplined, you know, in regards to these reports? Absolutely not. Again, I think he's going to flourish in this offense or in this defense. And again, I think if there's anybody that can bring out the best in him, it's 49ers defensive line coach Chris Kosirak. He's did that with a bunch of 49ers defensive linemen. So we'll see how it pans out for Chase Young and the Niners. But as far as me being concerned, there's no concern there.